Today, the Commission has accepted commitments offered by Amazon. These commitments, they address our preliminary concerns about Amazon's practices on its e-commerce marketplace. Before describing the commitments, let me say a few words about the concerns that we had. Amazon's practices, they raised three different competition concerns. The first was about the use of big data and Amazon's dual role as both marketplace and as a competitor to sellers active on its marketplace. Second concern was about the rules of access set by Amazon for sellers to appear in the buy box. And thirdly, it was about the rules set by Amazon for sellers and carriers to participate in the Prime program. When it comes to the data concern, Amazon gathers a lot of data from the activities of independent sellers on its marketplace. It then uses the data collected on the marketplace for its own retail activities. In fact, Amazon's retail operations get many insights from sensitive business data of 800,000 active sellers within the European Union. Amazon uses this data to make business decisions in its retail operations. So we were concerned that Amazon is able to take less risk than competing active sellers and retailers on its platform. And this is because competing retailers, well, they don't have access to this data. Therefore, our preliminary conclusion was that the use of data was an abuse of a dominant position by Amazon as a marketplace service provider in France and Germany. The second concern relates to the buy box, the box that you see when looking at a specific product on Amazon. The buy box offers the option to click and to buy easily, fast. The box represents over 90% of all views of offers on Amazon and the same very high share of all transactions. So it's really important for sellers to have unbiased access to that box. But we had concerns that the access to the box was favoring Amazon's retail operations. Our third concern was on the Amazon Prime program. The Prime program is a premium service offering benefits for users against a fee. Prime users, well, they are rapidly growing in Europe. They are also the highest spending and the most loyal consumer group on the Amazon marketplace. Unbiased access to Prime is therefore crucial for sellers. But we had concerns that access to Prime was favoring Amazon's retail and logistics operations. Earlier this year, Amazon offered a set of commitments. We market tested the package over summer to get feedback on whether the commitments could address the concerns that we had. A number of sellers, among them book publishers, seller association, carriers, consumer organizations, and academics, gave us feedback on the proposed commitments. We looked very carefully at those comments and asked Amazon to improve the commitments. Amazon then offered approved commitments, and here we are today, making those commitments binding on Amazon. The commitments, they cover obligations that will reshape three central pillars of the Amazon marketplace ecosystem. First, the use of data. Second, the conditions to access the buy box. And third, the access to the Prime program. And as you can hear, these commitments, they match the concerns that we had. So first, when it comes to data, Amazon will refrain from using non-public seller data for the benefit of its own retail operations. This is the equivalent to other sellers' operation on its platform to optimize its own retail decisions. The commitments, they apply both to Amazon employees, but also to the algorithmic tools that largely drive the business decisions. In concrete terms, the data commitment explicitly prevents the use of non-public seller data for Amazon decisions. Currently, Amazon uses the data to take decisions such as which product to launch, which price to set, which supplier to choose, or how to manage inventories. The commitment will prevent this from happening, and it will cover all types of seller data. Such seller data covers sales, revenues, shipments, transaction prices, the performance, consumer visits. The commitments, they apply both to individual and to aggregate data, and importantly, the commitment applies to the use of seller data for the purpose of selling both branded goods as well as Amazon's private label products. The data commitment, well, they will prevent Amazon from calibrating its business decisions using data generated by activities of independent sellers. And this restores a level playing field on the platform. Second, under the buy box commitment, Amazon will apply non-discriminatory conditions and criteria for the selection of offers to appear in the buy box. And this applies to all steps of ranking and selection process and to all metrics that influences the buy box selection. In addition, Amazon commits to display a second buy box. The second buy box will appear immediately below the first one. It will appear where there is an offer that is different from the first one on price or on delivery. As Amazon cannot populate both buy boxes with its own retail offers, this will give more visibility to independent retailers. The presentation of the second buy box is important to attract customer attention towards the greater variety of offers. The Commission will therefore monitor the performance of the second buy box. We will be able to request adjustments to the presentation in case that consumers do not seem to be sufficiently attracted to it. Third, the prime commitments. And here there are actually 4 different sets of changes. First, Amazon will apply non-discriminatory conditions and criteria for sellers to qualify for the Prime program. This means that there will be no discrimination between Amazon offers and offers of sellers that use independent carriers for Prime deliveries. Second, Prime sellers will be free to choose any carrier for their logistics and delivery service. They will be able to negotiate the terms directly with the carrier of their choice. Today, it is not possible, as carriers can only deliver Prime parcels if they are qualified by Amazon. Third, Amazon commits that no data generated by the activity of other carriers could flow into Amazon logistics. Fourth and finally, Amazon will no longer prevent carriers to contact the end consumer. That can be by email, for instance, to track their parcels. Today, Amazon is in control of the communication between customer and the carrier. Amazon's compliance with all these aspects of the package will be ensured by both a compliance mechanism and a monitoring trustee. The complaint mechanism will be open to sellers and carriers to report suspected non-compliance. The commitments will therefore bring fundamental change to the way Amazon operates in Europe to the benefit of customers, sellers and carriers as well. Today's commitments, well, they end two investigations into Amazon's business practices. In the first investigation, the one on data use, we issued a statement of objection 2 years ago. In the second investigation, the Buy Box and the Prime Program investigation, we opened this formally 2 years ago. Amazon now will have to implement these commitments within 6 months, so at the latest by June 23. And this means that by next summer, Amazon will have to end any preferential treatment towards its own retail and logistics operations in Europe. It will open up its Prime program and display a second buy box. Part of these changes, well, they concern business practices that are covered by the Digital Markets Act, but also some that are not covered by the DMA. Specifically, the second buy box and the Prime commitments, well, they address our competition concerns, but they would not be covered by the Digital Markets Act. So today's decision sets the rules that Amazon will need to play by in the future, instead of Amazon determining these rules for all players on its platform. With these new rules, competing independent retailers, carriers, and European customers, well, they will have more opportunity and more choice. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Executive Vice President.